Rhino rumble: why white rhinos rarely fight. It might surprise you to learn this. But despite their imposing size and sometimes intimidating appearance, white rhinos are generally quite peaceful animals. They're built like tanks, weighing upwards of 2 tons and possessing a formidable horn, yet serious fights between them aren't common. Most interactions involve displays of dominance, raising the head, puffing out the chest, or simply positioning themselves to look bigger. Actual physical conflict usually only occurs during mating season, when males are competing for females, or if one rhino feels seriously threatened. Otherwise, they're content to graze alongside each other with a surprising level of tolerance. For a long time, rhinoceros behavior was thought to be largely defined by aggression. Early studies often highlighted clashes between males, particularly during mating season, leading scientists to believe that dominance and fighting were central to their social lives. However, more recent observations are painting a different picture. Researchers now see frequent displays of surprisingly gentle interactions, mothers nurturing their calves, individuals sharing water sources peacefully, and even moments of what appear to be playful gestures between unrelated rhinos. These nuanced behaviors suggest a far more complex social structure than previously understood, demonstrating that aggression might not be the primary force shaping rhino behavior after all. Life within a rhino crash isn't always peaceful. Hierarchy plays a significant role in their social structure, and subordinate rhinos often face challenges asserting themselves for prime feeding spots. This leads to what scientists call the displacement hypothesis. Essentially, these less dominant individuals learn to avoid conflict by strategically choosing areas that aren't favored by the more assertive rhinos. It's not necessarily about starvation, it's about minimizing confrontation. They might select patches of vegetation with slightly lower nutritional value or further from water sources, areas a dominant rhino wouldn't bother with. This allows them to survive and even thrive, albeit in less ideal circumstances, all while avoiding potentially dangerous clashes. It's fascinating to observe how white rhinos navigate their territories. This isn't about panicked flight. When another rhino appears, it's a much more nuanced interaction. They engage in what we call spatial negotiation, an ongoing adjustment of position and activity to avoid direct confrontation. You'll often see one rhino subtly shift its grazing area or alter its route just slightly, allowing the other to continue feeding undisturbed. It's a dance of awareness, where each individual is constantly assessing the other's presence and adjusting their behavior accordingly. This minimizes competition for food and water, reducing the likelihood of aggressive encounters. Think of it as a continuous agreement, unspoken, yet vital, ensuring peaceful coexistence within the herd. While white rhinos are undeniably powerful animals, their social interactions often avoid direct confrontation. Dominance hierarchies definitely exist within a crash. That's what keeps things relatively peaceful, but they're maintained through incredibly subtle cues, rather than outright fighting. You won't typically see them engaging in full-blown battles like you might with some other species. Instead, these impressive creatures communicate their status primarily through posture, a slight head raise, the angle of their ears, or even how they position their horns can all convey dominance. Scent marking also plays a significant role, leaving scent trails to advertise territory and social standing is crucial. And then there are vocalizations, low rumbles and snorts that carry over surprisingly long distances. Used to signal intentions without escalating into physical conflict. It's a fascinating example of how animals can establish order through nuanced communication. This displacement behavior isn't just seen in interactions with males. Female white rhinos also display it when socializing amongst themselves. You'll often witness this particularly around valuable resources like water sources or areas with lush grazing. It's a subtle way for them to establish dominance and maintain social order within the group, even without physical confrontation. A gentle nudge, a repositioning. These small actions serve as communication, clarifying each rhino's position in their hierarchy. It's fascinating how much can be conveyed through seemingly minor movements. It's remarkable to observe white rhinos interacting. Their sheer size and strength could easily lead to aggressive clashes. Yet, they generally exhibit a surprising level of peacefulness. Most interactions involve gentle nudges, soft grunts, or simply ignoring each other entirely. Dominance is usually established through subtle displays, like positioning oneself slightly ahead of another rhino during movement, rather than brute force. Males will sometimes engage in sparring matches to establish hierarchy, but these are often more ritualistic posturing than full-blown fights, minimizing injuries and maintaining social stability within the group. This peaceful coexistence is crucial for their survival, allowing them to efficiently forage and navigate their environment together. Communication among white rhinos isn't always about loud calls or dramatic displays. It's often incredibly subtle, a flick of the ear, a specific posture, even the way they position themselves relative to one another. To truly decipher these signals and understand how rhinos maintain their social structures, researchers are now employing sophisticated techniques. They're utilizing GPS tracking to map movement patterns and identify areas where interactions frequently occur. Simultaneously, behavioral analysis allows them to meticulously record and interpret these nuanced actions, noting the frequency, context, and responses associated with each signal. This combination of technology and observation is offering unprecedented insight into a world of communication we're only just beginning to understand. It's easy to picture animal hierarchies as constant clashes, a relentless battle for position. But with white rhinos, things are surprisingly different. They operate under a dominant system that's more subtle than you might expect. It's often described as silent. It's not about frequent fights or displays of brute force. Instead, it's largely based on established order and respecting the existing hierarchy. A dominant male will simply hold his ground. A posture, a gaze, and subordinates typically yield without any physical confrontation. This isn't to say aggression is absent entirely, but its role in maintaining dominance is far less frequent than communication through body language and subtle cues. Observing this nuanced system truly highlights how complex animal behavior can be, revealing layers beyond simple aggression and demonstrating the sophistication of their social interactions. White rhinos aren't always charging. In fact, They often go to great lengths to avoid confrontation. They possess a remarkable ability to assess social situations and adjust their behavior accordingly. A dominant male, for instance, will frequently give subtle cues, a head shake, an ear twitch, or a deliberate shift in position indicating his presence and status without resorting to physical displays. Subordinates respond by yielding, moving away, or lowering their heads as a sign of respect. This intricate dance of dominance and submission minimizes the risk of injury for everyone involved. Observing these interactions reveals a complex communication system beyond simple aggression. It suggests that white rhinos have developed strategies to maintain social order within their groups with surprising nuance. Understanding this behavior is incredibly valuable. It allows conservationists to better predict rhino movements, mitigate potential conflicts between individuals in managed populations, and even inform how we manage land use around protected areas.